Right, so we completed with our discussion of section 141, which was regarding the qualifications and the disqualifications of the company auditor. Right, how many disqualifications of the company auditor? 9 disqualifications. What are those? Body corporate other than LLP, officer or employee of the company, a person who is a partner or who is in the employment of an officer or employee of the company. Then person, partner, relative holds any security of or interest in the 5 companies. However, relative can hold security up to the face value of rupees 1 lakh in the company, and if relative exceeds the limit, corrective action can be taken within the 60 days. Then person, partner, relative indebted in any of the 5 companies exceeding rupees 5 lakh, up to rupees 5 lakh for all the 3 and all the 5 allowed. Then person, partner, relative has given a guarantee in any of the 5 companies for an amount exceeding rupees 1 lakh. So for all the 3 and all the 5, up to rupees 1 lakh would be allowed. Right, then after that 141(3)(e), a person or a firm is having any business relationship with the 6 companies. Which is the 6th company over here? Subsidiary of associate company. So company, holding company, subsidiary company, associate company, any other subsidiary of that holding company or the associate company, subsidiary of the associate company. However, which commercial transactions are allowed? As a for rendering the professional services, and second in the ordinary course of business at the arm's length price as a customer. Then 141(3)(f), relative is a director or is in the employment as a director or a key managerial personnel of the company. Then 141(3)(g), CA is in full-time employment elsewhere or already holding the audits of more than 20 companies, excluding the audits of the 1-person company, small company, dormant company, private companies having paid up share capital of less than 100 crore, provided there is no default in the filing of the financial statements and the annual return with the registrar. Then person convicted by the court for an offence involving fraud and a period of 10 years has not elapsed from the date of such conviction, and person providing directly or indirectly the 144 services to 3 companies, company, holding company and the subsidiary company. What is section 144? Auditor not to render certain services. So any other services to be rendered by the auditor has to be approved by the audit committee or the board of directors, but it cannot include the following services: accounting and bookkeeping, internal audit. Then design and implementation of financial information system and outsourced financial services. Then investment advisory services, investment banking services, then actuarial services, management services, and any other kind of services as may be prescribed. None of the disqualification of the auditor should be attracted as on the date of the appointment. If any of the disqualification is attracted after the appointment, the auditor shall vacate his office, and such vacation shall be deemed to be a casual vacancy in the office of the auditor. Right, so that was section 141 and section 144. Then after that we came to section 139, which is regarding the appointment of the company auditor, which we discuss as other than government company and the government company, appointment of the subsequent auditor, appointment of the first auditor, and the appointment of the auditor in case of the casual vacancy. And then what are the provisions? BOD members, C and AG, BOD, board of directors and the members. And then what is the formula? 396363. Right, so 30, 90, 60, 30, 60, 33, 30, 30 dash. Right, 30, 30 and then dash. Right, then government company subsequent auditor to be appointed by the CNAG within 180 days from the commencement of the financial year, and the auditor will hold office till the conclusion of the AGM, right, the general meeting. Then other than government company subsequent auditor, written consent certificate to be obtained from the auditor before his appointment. Then after the written consent certificate is obtained, then the auditor is to be appointed by the member members who will hold the office from the conclusion of the first AGM, because up to first AGM appointed first auditor. Right? Then after that, now routine course, who will appoint the auditor? It says subsequent auditor will be appointed by the members who will hold office from the conclusion of the first AGM till the conclusion of the sixth AGM, thereafter till the conclusion of every sixth AGM. And once the auditor is appointed, the company will inform the auditor and the company will file the form ADT 1 with the ROC within 15 days of the appointment of the auditor. Right. What did we study over here is the section 139 subsection 2, which is regarding the rotation of the company auditor. Which companies are required to rotate their auditor? Listed companies, always applicable. Apart from listed companies, unlisted public companies having paid up share capital of more than or equal to 10 crore, or all the private companies having the paid up share capital of more than or equal to 50 crore, or all companies having the borrowings or deposits of more than or equal to 50 crore cannot appoint an individual for more than one term of 5 consecutive years and cannot appoint a firm for more than 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. And after this 1 term or 2 terms, there is a common cooling period of the 5 years. Even common partner, even that firm has to follow the cooling period of the 5 years. You join another firm, you leave your current firm and you joined another firm. Even that another firm cannot do the audit for a period of 5 years. And consecutive years shall mean all the preceding years until the break is by 5 years or more. Right? One firm cannot do the audit of a company for more than 10 years, where rotation provisions are applicable, and then after that the cooling period for the firm is of 5 years, right? The cooling period for the firm is of the 5 years. And same partner of the firm, he cannot do the audit for more than the 7 years. And what is the cooling period for the partner? 2 years. This is as per SQC 1. Right, and this is as per section 139(2) of the company law. Okay, so now, can an individual do an audit of a company, listed company, for 5 years? Can think and say na what you are saying, yes, no, without thought. Huh? Can an individual do an audit of a listed company for a period of 5 years? Individual, 1 term of 5 consecutive years, listed company, rotation provision applicable. So what I asked you, can an individual do an audit of a listed company for a period of 5 years? Yes, he can do the audit of a listed company. Is it possible that after 1 day or after 1 year or after 1 month or 1 week, the company wants to change the auditor? Or is it that 5 years this fellow will not move from his chair? Right? What does it say? Maximum after 5 years, so he has to go or get up from his chair. But before that also, can the company remove the auditor? Yes. Before that, can the auditor also resign? Yes. On the higher side, you cannot do the audit for more than 5 years, individual and firm for more than 10 years. But can he be removed or can he resign before that period? At any time, he can resign or he can be removed before that period. The firm or the individual, any of them. Right. So generally, like we studied so many points regarding the appointment of the auditor. But the crux of it is that the general power to appoint the auditor of the company has been given to the members. Right? The shareholders, they appoint the auditors of the company. But who will recommend who should be appointed as an auditor of the company? The audit committee or the board of directors, as the case may be, they will recommend. They will recommend to the shareholders, and then shareholders will appoint the auditor. So you see that almost the power is with the audit committee, board of directors only. Only for formality's sake and giving the power's sake, it's like, okay, you appointed. But who is recommending it? The audit committee or the board of directors. They will recommend the appointment of the auditor. Okay, so when will audit committee recommend and when will board recommend? When will audit committee recommend and when will board recommend? If the company has an audit committee, listed companies and 10 crore, 100 crore, 50 crore, wherever 177 is applicable, there the audit committee will recommend. And if the company is not required to constitute an audit committee, then the board will recommend. Are you understanding? Okay. So company has an audit committee. What is AC? It is the audit committee. And then where the company is not required to constitute an audit committee. Right, so required to constitute an audit committee or not required to constitute an audit committee. Right, so now say yours is a audit committee, they are the audit committee board of directors of Growth Limited. Right, say Growth Limited is into the digital marketing, right, say it's a digital marketing company, right, it is an advertising agency or so, having a turnover of 100 crore or something. And now for this company, the auditor is to be appointed. Who will appoint the auditor? The members. Who will recommend the appointment of the auditor? The board of directors or the audit committee. Now when this audit committee is or the board of directors, so the audit committee or the board of directors, when they recommend, okay, you know, I think that this firm is a good firm and we should appoint them as the auditor, what are they going to look into? They are going to look into the qualifications and the experience of the auditor. Qualification, do you know what qualification he should have? CA with COP of ICAR and experience. Now this company is into digital marketing. So you need to see whether that CA, whether that audit firm previously has it done the audits of these marketing agencies, advertising agency or so. Right, so what does it say? Qualification and the experience. Okay, so you find out that they are CAs, that they have done the audit of the marketing agencies in the past. Okay, but now the marketing agencies which this CA firm has audited in the past, their revenue maximum has been 2 crore. But now this Growth Limited which is required to be audited, their revenue is 700 crore. You understand? So they have done the audits of other, like see, can one CA do the audit of ICICI Bank? Can that same CA, I'm telling like one CA, can he do the audit of Tata Motors? Can the same CA do the audit of Mahindra also? Can the same CA do the audit of any other manufacturing and automobile company also? Yes. And it's not like Competition Act is not applicable. You know, if I am doing the audit of ICICI Bank, can I also do of State Bank of India? Yes. Can I also do of HDFC Bank? Yes. Can I also do of Punjab National Bank? Yes. There is no restriction, no, as to that if I am doing the audit of Infosys, I cannot do the audit of TCS. No, I can be doing the audit of Infosys also. I can be doing the audit of the TCS also. Are you understanding that? Okay. So now this particular CA is the chartered accountant. He has the experience of doing the audit of the marketing agencies. But what is the problem? The maximum revenue of the marketing agencies this fellow has audited is 2 crore. And this marketing agency, Growth Limited, who wants to appoint the auditor, their revenue is how much? 700 crores. So now you need to check whether the qualifications and the experience, are they commensurate with the size and requirements of the company? Right, the size and requirements of the company. So that though he has the qualification, though he has the experience, but it is not matching with the size and the requirements of the company. Like say in the CA firm, there are only 10 people working. And now for this audit itself, you require 30 people in the team. So though they have the qualification, though they have the experience, is it matching with the size and requirements of the company? No, it is not matching with the size and requirements of the company. Like, you know, monkeys, do they eat banana? Monkeys, do they eat bananas? Nicely and intelligently, they peel the banana and they eat it. Elephants, they also eat bananas. Elephants, they to take the entire bunch of bananas and put the entire thing in their mouth over there. Okay, you understand? So to a monkey, like if one time supper, if they have to have, one time meal they want to have, how many bananas? 7, 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 dozen on the higher side. You understand? 1 dozen bananas on the higher side, however big the monkey is. Okay, but to an elephant, 1 dozen banana, it will not fit in any one corner of any, it will 1/50th of the stomach. You understand? No, 1/50th or 1/40th of the stomach with 1 dozen of the bananas. At least 30, 40 dozen of the bananas will be required by the elephant. Are you understanding? So though both are eating bananas, one requires 1 dozen, another requires 12 dozen. Something like that, right? So similarly over here, what does it say? Qualification experience, and whether that qualification experience is matching with the size and requirements of the company. Whether it is matching. Company is so big, 700 crore turnover, and in this firm only 2 uncle working in that firm. Now how this 2 uncle will do the audit? No. You require full team to do the audit over there. Are you understanding that? Okay. And the details of any orders or proceedings which are pending against the auditor. Any orders or proceedings. So who will recommend the appointment of the auditor? Audit committee or the board of directors. When they recommend, okay, I think this is a good firm to appoint as an auditor. What about that firm? They will try to look into the qualifications and experience, and whether the qualification and experience are commensurate with the size and requirements, and the details of any orders pending proceeding against the audit or the audit firm. Are you understanding that? Okay. Now, if the company does not have an audit committee, then who will recommend the appointment of the auditor? The board of directors, and the board of directors will make the recommendation to the members, and then the members will appoint the auditor. Simple, no? BOD will make the recommendation to the members, and then members will appoint the auditor. So say BOD has recommended PwC, and then they will appoint PwC as the auditors. Okay, right. However, if the company has an audit committee. Now audit committee, what they need to do? They need to make the recommendation to the, now audit committee, they need to make the recommendation to the board of directors. Right, so now there is one layer which comes over here in between. There it was directly BOD to members. Now here from audit committee, it will first come to the board of directors. And now say the audit committee has recommended PwC. Audit committee is recommending to the board that let's recommend the name of PwC as the auditor. Now what may happen? The board may agree or they may disagree with the recommendation of the audit committee. If the board agrees with the recommendation of the audit committee, then that recommendation they will send it to the members, and then the members will appoint the auditor. If they agree with the recommendation, that recommendation will be passed on to the members, and then the members will appoint the auditor. However, if the board disagrees with the recommendation of the audit committee, it will cite back the matter to the audit committee for reconsideration. It will tell audit committee that please reconsider your recommendation for the appointment of the auditor. Yes, and then say audit committee changes its recommendation and they recommend another firm, and board agrees with that, then that will pass on to the members, and then members will appoint. However, the audit committee says no, we will not reconsider our original recommendation. We still recommend PwC only. That board is telling them that please reconsider your recommendation. If they agree to reconsider, wonderful. However, they say no, we will not reconsider our original recommendation, right? So what does it say? Disagreed. Then you sent it for the reconsideration. After the reconsideration also, what happens? They don't change their original recommendation. There is no change in the recommendation. Then what will the board of directors do? They will cite the reasons. They will record the reasons recording the disagreement. Okay, why they are not agreeing with the recommendation given by the audit committee. The board will document the reasons. What reasons they will document? Okay, they are recommending PwC, but according to us, PwC is not a good option, so we should not be appointing PwC as the auditor. And then the board will send their own recommendation to the members. The board will send their own recommendation to the members, and then the members will appoint the auditor. Are you understanding that? So now first two possibilities, it was company does not have an audit committee, it has an audit committee. If they don't have an audit committee, board will recommend to the members, members will appoint. If the company has an audit committee, then audit committee will recommend to the board of directors. Then board of directors may agree or disagree with the recommendation of the audit committee. If they agree, then you pass on that recommendation to the members and the auditor will be appointed by the members. However, if the board disagrees with the recommendation, they will cite back the matter to the audit committee for reconsideration. But audit committee does not reconsider. Then the board will record the reasons for the disagreement. The board will record that we are not agreeing with the recommendation, and they will pass on their own recommendation to the members, and then the members will appoint the auditor. Are you understanding that? Okay. Right. Say example, the first auditor of a company is to be appointed and the company has an audit committee, or say there is a casual vacancy. Like rather than first auditor, let me talk about the casual vacancy. Right, casual vacancy, who fills it? Right, the board of directors, yes, and if it is casual vacancy due to resignation, it shall also be approved by the members at the EGM within 3 months of the, right, within 3 months of the recommendation of the board, right? So even when you want to appoint an auditor in case of casual vacancy, who has the power to appoint? Board of directors. But if the company has an audit committee, will committee recommend the appointment of the casual vacancy auditor also? If the company has an, agar audit committee nahi hai, to okay, but company has an audit committee. So now there is a casual vacancy. It is to be filled in by the board of directors within 30 days from the date of the casual vacancy. So now even this casual vacancy auditor, even is that to be recommended by the audit committee? Even that auditor appointment, is it to be recommended by the audit committee? Yes. All appointments of the auditor, including the appointment of the auditor in case of the casual vacancy. Right? All appointments of the auditor, including the filling up of the casual vacancy, has to be, right, has to be recommended by the audit committee. Right? So one, we have studied which companies are required to constitute an audit committee. So listed companies, then 10 crore, 100 crore and the 50 crore. Then what does it say? All appointments, including the filling of the casual vacancy of an auditor, shall be made after considering the recommendations of the committee. And what are the important functions of the audit committee? They will recommend the appointment, remuneration and the terms of appointment of the auditor of the company. Look at the name of the committee only, now audit committee. So audit committee means they will look into all audit related matters. So who should be appointed as the auditor of the company? And once a particular firm has been appointed as the auditor of the company, are the auditors doing the audit properly? Even that will be monitored by the audit committee. So reviewing and monitoring the auditors' independence, performance and effectiveness of audit process, examination of financial statements and audit report thereon. Right? So these are the functions of the audit committee. So from the name itself, you understand that it is the audit committee. So it is going to look into all matters relating to the audit. So one, who is to be appointed as an auditor, then whether the auditor is doing a good job. So monitoring the effectiveness of the audit, the auditor's independence, even that is to be taken care of by the audit committee. Right? How many members in the audit committee? Minimum 3 directors, right? I told you, no, from the board of directors, you make the different committees. Do you remember that? Board of directors of the company, student council, different committees, like that, board of directors and committees, right? So audit committee, how many members? Minimum 3 directors, right? So at least 3 directors should be there in the audit committee. And what does it say? Majority should be the independent directors, right? So independent directors, there is a 2-page definition for who is an independent director, right? But basically who is like a non-executive director, who does not have any financial pecuniary interest in the company, right? So majority of the members should be the independent directors and majority should be financially literate, right? Independent directors forming the majority, and majority should also be able to read and understand the financial statements. Okay, right? Then what is the role of the audit committee? Before recommending the appointment of the auditor, they will look into the qualification and experience, then check whether it is matching with the size and requirements of the company, then any orders or pending proceeding against the auditor. Then the audit committee or the board, they may call for such information. And where the company is required to constitute an audit committee, the board will recommend that the audit committee will recommend the name to the board. The committee, wherever there is an audit committee will send their recommendation to the board. And then what may happen? Board may agree or disagree. If the board agrees with the recommendation, it will further recommend the appointment to the members. And if the board disagrees with the recommendation, it will refer back the recommendation to the committee for reconsideration, citing reasons for the disagreement. And if the audit committee, after considering the reasons given by the board, decides not to reconsider its original recommendation, so they say, no, we are not going to change our recommendation, what will the board do? It will record the reasons for the disagreement with the committee and send its own recommendation for consideration of the members in the AGM. And if the board agrees with the recommendation, then to no problem. Then they can pass on that recommendation to the members. Are you understanding that? And obviously the auditor will hold office from the conclusion of that meeting till the conclusion of the 6th meeting. So rotation of company auditor we've already studied. Right? So are you able to follow that whatever I discussed with you, now we are seeing it over here? Right, that whatever I discussed with you, same provisions we are seeing over here. Okay, right. Then you have the appointment of the first auditor. What numbers you need to remember for first auditor? 30, 90, 60, 30, 60. Is it right? OGC, GC. Other than government company, government company. Other than government company, board of directors within 30 days. If not, then members within 90 days at the EGM, the extraordinary general meeting. And government company and other, the deemed government companies. Auditor will be appointed by the CNAG within 60 days. If CNAG fails to appoint, then board of directors will appoint within the next 30 days. If board fails to appoint, then the members will appoint within the next 60 days, right? So 30, 90, 60, 30, 60. And auditors will hold office till the conclusion of the first AGM, till the conclusion of the first AGM. Then casual vacancy, other than government company, 30 days and 3 months. You remember 33, 30, 30. Right, 33, 30, 30. Right, so within 30 days to be filled by the board. However, if the casual vacancy is due to the resignation of the auditor, it is to be approved by the company at the general meeting convened within 3 months of the recommendation of the board, and the auditor will hold office till the conclusion of the next AGM. And government company, casual vacancy to be filled by the CNAG within 30 days. And if CNAG does not fill within 30 days, then the board of directors to fill within the next 30 days. And what if the board does not fill within the next 30 days? There is no power given over here to the members. Right? There is no power over here which has been given to the members. Is it clear to all of you? 30, 90, 60, 30, 60, 33, 30, 30. Okay. And then you have the appointment of the subsequent auditor. What does it say? Subsequent auditor, government company, to be appointed by the CNAG within 180 days from the commencement of the financial year. And normally who appoints the auditor of a company? The members. Right? Every company shall at the first AGM appoint an individual or firm as an auditor who will hold office from the conclusion of that meeting till the conclusion of the 6th meeting, and thereafter till the conclusion of every 6th meeting. And before the appointment is made, a written consent certificate is to be obtained from the auditor. What certificate you will obtain from the auditor? That he is eligible. The proposed appointment is as per the terms provided under the Companies Act. The appointment is within the limits, and the list of any proceeding against the auditor or the audit firm. Right? So before the appointment of the auditor, you need to get the, are you all with me? You need to obtain the written consent certificate from the auditor, and the company will inform the auditor and also file a notice of the appointment with the ROC within 15 days of the meeting in which the auditor is appointed. That is form ADT 1. Right, and then after that we studied regarding the rotation of the company auditor. So which companies the rotation provisions are applicable? Listed companies, and then 10 crore, 50 crore and 50 crore. And then you cannot appoint an individual for more than one term of 5 consecutive years and a firm for more than 2 terms of 5 consecutive years. And then what does it say? Shall not be eligible for appointment for a period of 5 years. So what is this 5 years? It is called as the cooling period. Are you understanding that? Then what is the next sentence? Just read it. As on the date of the appointment, no audit firm having a common partner or partners to the other audit firm whose tenure has expired in the company immediately preceding the financial year shall be appointed as an auditor of the same company for a period of 5 years. So common partner, even that firm has to follow the cooling period. Is it right? Common partner, even that firm has to follow the cooling period. Then can you remove the auditor before the completion of 5 years or 10 years? Yes. Can the auditor resign before 5 years or 10 years? Yes. Right. Then what does it say? Who will decide the rotation of the engagement team members? Who will decide? Yes, no, rotation of the engagement team members. It will be resolved by the members. Right? Can the same firm do the audit for 10 years? Yes. But can the same team do the audit for 10 years? No. Who will decide the rotation of the team? It will be resolved by the members. Can the audit be conducted by more than one auditor? Yes. They could be having the joint auditors and more than one firm of auditor. Right? Then same network, can that firm do the audit for 5 years? You remember north, east, west, south, all the same network firm. Right? Can the entire network do the audit if one member of the network firm has completed 5 year or 10 year? No, the entire network cannot do the audit for the 5 years. So the cooling period has to be followed for the entire network. Then what does it say? Individual auditor shall include other individuals of firm. Then what does it say? Ineligible. So what you did, you came to know that the audit is going to another firm. So you resign from this firm and you join that other firm. I told you, it's like carrying the virus with you. Wherever you go, that firm will be ineligible for 5 years. So if a partner who is in charge of an audit firm and also certifies the financial statements retires from the said firm and joins another firm of CA, such other firm will also be ineligible for a period of 5 years. Are you understanding that? Okay, then consecutive years shall mean all the preceding years until there is a break by 5 years or more, and where a company has, okay, right. So now, can a company have joint auditors? What is joint auditor? More than one firm of auditors has been appointed to do the audit. Okay, so say they have appointed CA Joy and CA Sparkle. And a CA Joy and CA Sparkle to do the audit. Okay, so when did they appoint CA Joy? Say they appointed in 2023, only CA Joy. So right now Sparkle has not been appointed. Right, then after that 2024, again CA Joy is appointed. Right, then 2025, what they did, they appointed CA Joy and CA Sparkle. Okay, then 2026, who is doing the audit? Joy and Sparkle. 2027, who is doing the audit? Joy and Sparkle. And now 2028, can Joy do the audit? No, but can Sparkle do the audit? Yes. So it says you appoint the joint auditors in such a way that everybody's tenure does not get over at the same time, in a manner that both or all the joint auditors do not complete their term in the same year. You understand? If you appoint joint auditors, you appoint them in such a manner that, after you've appointed both of them together, so both of them, their 5 years will get over at the same time. So then absolutely 2 new auditors will come. So it says in order to avoid such a situation, at least one fellow should be familiar. So you appoint them in such a manner, they do not complete their tenure in the same year. Are you understanding this point over here? Okay. Right. What is the tenure of appointment of the auditor? From the conclusion of the tenure, you understand, till what time am I the auditor of the company? Can I sit on the auditor chair? I will be called as the auditor of the company. That is the tenure. So what is my tenure of office? From the conclusion of the first AGM till the conclusion of the 6th AGM, thereafter till the conclusion of every 6th AGM. So 2026, say, was the first AGM. Okay, now 2027, second AGM. Then 2028 is going to be the third AGM. 2029 is going to be the fourth AGM. 2030, fifth AGM. And 2031 is going to be the sixth AGM. After 5 years, the company law will only remove me, because I cannot do the audit for more than 5 years. But up to 5 years, can I do the audit? Okay, now what does it say? An individual, am I appointed for a period of 5 years? No, so it is not required at every AGM. Once I am appointed for the next 5 years. Right? Then if a firm is appointed, they are appointed for one term of 5 years, then again a resolution passed for one more term of 5 consecutive years. So maximum for one time you can appoint the auditor for 5 years. So firm will have to pass a resolution. For a firm, you will have to pass a resolution 2 times. First one set of 5 year, then one more set of the 5 year. But individual, one set of the 5 year. Okay. So in 2026 AGM, they appointed CA Sparkle as the auditor. Now as such, CA Sparkle can continue as the auditor till 2031. Are you all with me? Okay. Now, but 2027, will AGM of Growth Limited take place? 2027, though auditor is there for 5 years, but will the AGM take place? Okay, now on the date of the AGM, it is like, you know, a very important day for the auditor, because today's day he will come to know whether he can continue to sit on this chair or whether he needs to vacate this chair, that he is no longer the auditor of the company. So all you are the shareholders of Growth Limited. All of you have come for the AGM, and this auditor is over here, C.A. Sparkle, the auditor of Growth Limited. And now he is very inquisitive, you know, whether I will continue to sit on my chair or whether I'll have to be, you know, leave my chair, vacate my chair or so. Okay, so now he is asking company secretary, what about me? Will I continue to be the auditor? They say, keep quiet. Sit quietly. Members, AGM is going on, see them. How they do AGM, how they are sitting so nicely. You understand? See them. And you continue to see them. And then, what happens when you see them? You have to check for the following 4 things. If any of the following 4 do not take place at the AGM, happily continue to sit on your chair till the next AGM. Again, next AGM, see everybody, whether any of the 4 is taking place. If it's taking place, get up. If not, then continue till this story will go on till the 6th AGM. Right, now what happened? This auditor, so curious, na, company secretary, tell me no whether I will continue to be auditor, tell me no. So he says, keep quiet, listen to what the shareholders are talking at the AGM. But this auditor, restless fellow. And what the restless fellow did? Purchased 1 equity share. Can't keep quiet. And some people have that insect in them, no? है ना कीड़ा अभी चुप नहीं बैठ सकते क्या कुछ नहीं हुआ but नहीं 1 share purchased 1 share. Now can he continue as an auditor? Now can he continue? No, he cannot continue. Right? So what does it say? The retiring auditor at the AGM 2027 के AGM में C.A. Sparkle is the retiring auditor. It says he will be deemed to be reappointed. Automatic appointment. जैसे there is automatic removal by company law, है ना? They vacate his office and such vacation shall be deemed to a casual vacancy. Automatic removal by the company law. Similarly, there is automatic appointment by the company law. What does it say? Deemed to be reappointed as an auditor of the company unless what? He is not disqualified for appointment. He is not disqualified. So if he is disqualified, then obviously he cannot deemed to be reappointed, right? So what does it say? He is, unless he is not disqualified for reappointment. Then what he did, restless fellow, what he did sitting over here, he says, no, but I don't know whether you guys will appoint me, not appoint me, I don't know. So then what you did, he said, I will only resign, I am not able to take this pressure. This current Y generation, your generation, big problem. They create their own hell. Nothing happened. Everything is going on smoothly. But some wiring over here becomes a problem sometimes. Something goes wrong over there. I don't know, then what if they don't appoint me? Then what I will do? Better I only resign. The problem. So what he did, he's not expressed his unwillingness in writing that he is not to be appointed as an auditor of the company. Right, so deemed to be reappointed unless he is not disqualified or he is not expressed his unwillingness in writing. Expressed his unwillingness in writing means he is resigned. Means he is resigned. Now these 2 actions are taken by the auditor. He is disqualified or he has resigned. Next 2 actions are to be taken by you people. That is the shareholders over there. What you saw, this auditor moving over here like a mouse. You know mouse? You're going, then you say, क्या कैसा auditor है? How? Not sparkling, restless auditor. See a restless. They say, no. What do the shareholders do? The members, yes, if they pass a special resolution to appoint somebody else in place of the retiring auditor. So you shareholders sitting at the AGM of the company, you passed a special resolution saying that C.A. Joy is the auditor of the company. Automatically C.A. Sparkle out. You understand? So special resolution has not been passed. है ना? Special resolution has not been passed to appoint somebody else. Or you know, sometimes it so happens, their members, they are not able to identify any other CA. You know, they are trying to search for another CA to do the audit, but they are not finding any other CA. But this auditor is terrible, moving around like a mouse here and there, here and there. They say, okay, we don't know whom we want to appoint. We can't think of any other name, but we are sure that we don't want this CA. Right? So what do they say? Special resolution has not been passed, right? Expressly providing that retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. Right? So either you say that we are appointing CA Joy, so you've appointed somebody else, or you say we don't know whom we want to appoint, but we are sure we don't want CA Sparkle. So expressly providing that the retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. If any of these four do not take place at the AGM, if any of these four do not take place at the AGM, then the retiring auditor shall be deemed to be reappointed. But if any of the following four take place at the AGM, then the retiring auditor shall be removed, right? Then there is the removal of the retiring auditor when he is disqualified. He's expressed his unwillingness, or a special resolution has been passed to appoint somebody else, or expressly providing that he shall not be reappointed, right? So reappointment of the retiring auditor. What does it say? A retiring auditor, yes, may be reappointed at an AGM if he is not disqualified for the reappointment. He has not given the company his notice in writing of his unwillingness to be reappointed. Or what does it say? A special resolution has not been passed for appointing some other auditor, or providing expressly that he shall not be reappointed. Right. And say at any AGM, and you shareholders did not pass any resolution to appoint another auditor, then what does it say? 139 subsection 10, the existing auditor shall continue to be the auditor of the company. So that's what I told, na? What did I tell CA Sparkle? The meeting is going on and he is wondering, what about me, whether I continue to be the auditor. You have to tell him that any of the following four, if they happen at the AGM, out. If none of these happen, then you continue to be the auditor of the company. Which of following four, if they take place, he is disqualified, or he has expressed his unwillingness in writing not to be reappointed, or a special resolution has been passed by the members to appoint somebody else, or expressly providing that retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. If any of the following four do not take place at the AGM, then the existing auditor shall continue to be the auditor of the company. Right? Then the existing auditor shall continue to be the auditor of the company. Are you understanding this? Reappointment of the retiring auditor. Right? The reappointment of the retiring auditor. Are you all with me? Yes, everyone, do you understand section 139, the appointment of the company auditor, reappointment of the retiring auditor, the provisions relating to the audit committee? And now what we do, we come to the discussion regarding his first auditor casual vacancy I've already discussed. Now coming to section 140, which is regarding the removal of the auditor. Oh my God, is this how you remove an auditor? Don't know what image they put. This is not how you remove, but just for you to remember. They say removal of the company auditor, right? So which sections have we studied so far? 141, 144, 139, right? 3 sections we have studied so far. Right, so now coming to section 140. Yes, everyone, please listen to me, which is regarding the removal of the company auditor. So first we studied who can be appointed. Then we saw how he will be appointed. Now we need to see how he can be removed as the auditor of the company. So we talk about the removal of the company auditor. Right, so now, yes, when does the tenure of the auditor, when is he the retiring auditor? At the AGM, no? At the AGM, you can pass a special resolution to appoint somebody else or expressly providing that he shall not be reappointed. But you say, Madam, I cannot wait till the AGM to remove this restless auditor. Right now, in next 1 hour, I want to remove this auditor of the company. What does it say? Now, nothing in life happens in 1 hour. You'll see the procedure over there. You can have whatever impatience you want. You understand? But you say, no ma'am, I cannot tolerate this auditor till the AGM. No, every day he's drinking 20 cups of tea. Full tea fellow. No, we don't want this auditor. No, auditor drinking too much of tea cannot be a reason for you to remove the auditor. But you say, nahi chahiye ye auditor. Okay, so removal of the auditor. Removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term. Or auditor is coming to office every day and playing loud music over there at the client place. Nacho. And a full loud music he's playing over there. And then full 100 decibel voice. Client is saying, oh my God, audit, no, Nacho. What auditor this is? Okay, so removal of auditor before the expiry of his term. I said, right now, in the next 1 hour, I want to remove the auditor of the company. Second, you are a sensible fellow, an experienced person. So you say, anyway, somehow we will tolerate him till the AGM. But then we'll remove him. Right? So removal, array, don't talk, re. Removal of the auditor at the expiry of his term, but before completion of his tenure. Before completion of his tenure. Tenure kya hai? 5 year or 10 year. But you know, before 5 years, after 3rd year only, you want to remove it. Or at the 4th AGM only, you want to remove it. Are you understanding that? Then next auditor says, what you people are thinking about removing me? I am only resigning. And a resignation of the company auditor. He comes one fine morning and says, okay. And like you students, no? Someday all of a sudden, I want to become photographer, wildlife photographer. Something happens to you. Why? Because yesterday accounting standard you did not understand. That is why today wildlife photographer. Okay, then you go, then you see the iguanas and the chameleons and all of them. Then you say, no, accounting standard is better. How much photo to click? Then you come to know, photo camera cost 5 lakh. Entire CA course will also not cost that much. So you come back to your senses. Right. I am saying you come back to your senses. Okay, right? Resignation of the auditor. And this auditor of the company, big fraud. Some people, you look at their face and you looking at the face only think this person is fraud. How you come to know looking at the face? What are the attributes? What are the attributes? Wearing spectacles. Huh? How you come to know, oh my God, big fraud, huh? Money. Not that money, okay. Okay. So, the removal of the auditor, array, listen to me, re. Removal of auditor by tribunal or central government. Because auditor of the company has been caught in some fraud or so, that is why the tribunal central government is required to look into the matter. Right, so now removal of the company auditor, we discuss it under the 2 heads, yes, we discuss it under the 4 heads over here. Yes, first, what are the first 2 heads? Removal of the auditor by the members right now. Right away you say change the auditor of the company. Second, at the expiry of his term, but before completion of his tenure. That is that 5-year, 10-year not yet over. Third one, auditor says, what you remove me? I am only resigning. Right, and fourth one, removal of auditor by the tribunal or the CG. Are you understanding that, everyone? Yes, all of you with me? Okay, so now company is saying, "Okay, right now I want to remove the auditor in next 1 hour." Right, so now there has to be a trigger point, no? There has to be a starting point for the removal of the auditor. Right, so now what does it say? A board resolution has to be passed. You understand board meeting? There are two types of meeting, no? General meeting and board meeting. Right, board meeting is of the board of directors and general meeting is of the shareholders. So what does it say? A board resolution has to be passed at the board meeting for the removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term. So you say, right now I want to remove the auditor. So right now call all your board of directors, hold a board meeting and pass a board resolution. Then once you pass the board resolution, what does it say? Within 30 days of the passing of the, within 30 days of the passing of the board resolution, you make an application to the central government. You need to make an application to the CG. CG? CG, central government. You make an application to the central government. My God, we are not able to bear this auditor. We want to remove this auditor right now. Application to CG within 30 days of the board resolution. The application to CG has to be done in form ADT2. Where we saw ADT1, ROC, company had to file form ADT1 with the ROC. Now company has to file the form ADT2 with the central government within 30 days of the passing of the board resolution. Then central government says, yeah, this auditor is drinking too much tea. Remove the auditor of the company. Now there is no time limit regarding within how many days central government will give you the approval. But say you receive the approval of the central government. So you receive the prior approval of the CG, central government. And once you receive the approval of the CG, so you pass the board resolution, then you make an application to CG, then CG gives you the approval. Then once you receive the approval from the CG, within 60 days, you need to pass a SR. You understand SR? Special resolution in the general meeting, EGM. If I don't write A, that means it's a general meeting, and only GM means it has to be EGM, extraordinary general meeting. Right, so special resolution is to be passed in the general meeting within 60 days of the approval of the CG. And now you are passing a special resolution in the general meeting saying that we don't want this auditor, we want to change this auditor of the company. Obviously the auditor who is being removed, he should be given a reasonable opportunity of being heard. He says, from tomorrow I will get my own tea in the thermos, but just because of tea, don't remove me. Whatever, reasonable opportunity of being heard. You understand that? So you say, ma'am, next 1 hour, kuch nahi hota hai in next 1 hour. 30 days. Board resolution, then 30 days. Application to CG, then approval of CG, then within 60 days. Yes, special resolution to be passed in the general meeting. So 90 days over here only. So 3 months. So nothing happens like, like today I study audit and then finish 100 out of 100. ऐसे नहीं होता है. Okay, till that time 3 months he'll keep drinking tea. Okay, so reasonable opportunity of being heard. Right, so right now you say at this moment you can decide, but the execution will take 3 months. Are you understanding? Board resolution, फिर board resolution, then application to CG, then approval of CG, then special resolution in general meeting, and opportunity of being heard. Are you all with me? Okay, now, yes, next one, removal of the auditor at the EGM. And this was removal of auditor at AGM. Now we are talking about the AGM, right? So now at the AGM of the company, you know that the AGM of the company is going to be conducted, and you know the shareholders, they don't want this auditor to continue as an auditor. So what the members need to do, what the shareholders need to do, they need to send a special notice to the company. Right? A special notice is to be given by the members to the company, right? For, yes, the removal of the auditor, to appoint somebody else, or expressly providing that the retiring auditor shall not be reappointed, right? So the peon of the company went to the letter box, and what he saw in the letter box, or what did they see in the email box or inbox of the company, that there is a special notice which has been received from the shareholders. And what does the special notice say? To appoint somebody else, to appoint somebody else, or expressly providing that retiring auditor, expressly providing that the retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. Right? So what was the trigger point in case of before expiry of term? Before expiry of term, board resolution. Here what is the trigger point? A special notice is to be given by the members to the company at least 21 days before the date of the meeting. Okay, so what is the special notice? Either to appoint somebody else, or expressly providing that the retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. Are you understanding that? Okay. Now, special notice is received by the company. What notice they have received? Okay, there is a change of auditor which is to be done. So what does it say? A copy of the special notice. A copy of the special notice is to be sent to the retiring auditor. A copy of the special notice, a copy of the within 21 days. Yes, at least before 21 days before the AGM. Okay, now a copy of the special notice is to be sent to the retiring auditor. So now company received the notice from the members. Company means company secretary. He received the notice from the members. What the company secretary now needs to do? He needs to send this notice to the auditor, to the auditor who is proposed to be removed. A copy of the special notice is to be sent to the retiring auditor. And now auditor, what happened? He comes to know that, oh, they don't want me to continue as an auditor. They don't want me to continue as an auditor. So now the RA, who is RA? Retiring auditor. RA is who? Retiring auditor. Now the retiring auditor, he can make a representation in writing. Right? He can make a representation in writing to the company which should not exceed the reasonable length. That means, what can you call this in alternative terms from the first column? Opportunity of being heard. And he can make a representation in writing, and he can request the company to send this representation to the members. And send this representation to the members, right? Send this representation, you know, that I am willing to continue as an auditor of the company. Yes, if the shareholders consider reappointing me as the auditor. So he can make a representation in writing, and then he may, if he does not want, he may not make a representation. He has the right. The retiring auditor, you are being removed. So before being removed, do you have a right to make representation? Yes. Can you also request the company to send it to all the members? Yes. You also have the right to tell the company that, please, my representation, please send it to all the members. So should the company send if such a request is received from the retiring auditor? The retiring auditor is saying that, please send my representation to all the shareholders. Should the company send it to the members? Yes. The company must send. Unless the representation is received too late, right? So the representation could not be sent. Why? Because it was received too late. That one day before the meeting, retiring auditor gave representation. Now how to send it to all the members? Right? Because it was received too late, or any default of the company, or any default of the company. Right? It was received too late. The representation was received too late, or because of any default of the company, the representation could not be circulated, and it could not be sent to the members. Why it could not be circulated? Because it was received too late, or any default of the company. In that case, now what you will do, this representation would be read out at the meeting. So one, you send it to the shareholders, but if you could not send it, then whenever the meeting takes place, it would be read out at the meeting. And this is without prejudice to the right to be heard orally. This is without prejudice to the right to be heard orally at the meeting. That means what? If I am the retiring auditor, are you all listening to me? Right? If I am the retiring auditor, as a retiring auditor, I have two powers. One, to give the farewell letter. Yes, farewell letter. This farewell letter could be requested to be circulated to all the members. If it could not be circulated, then it could be read out at the meeting. And apart from this, so either you circulate it or you read it. If not circulated, then it is to be read. If it is circulated, then no need to read. But in addition to this, retiring auditor also has a right to give a farewell speech without prejudice to the right to be heard orally at the meeting. Are you understanding? So, company received a special notice. Copy of the special notice was sent to the retiring auditor. He may make a representation in writing. It should not exceed reasonable length. He can request the company to send it to the members. Company must send unless it is received too late or any default of the company. In that case, it would be read out at the meeting. This is without prejudice to the right to be heard orally at the meeting. Are you understanding it so far? Okay. Then what does it say? If it could not be circulated, then the representation will also be filed with the ROC. Right? Then the representation is also to be filed with the ROC if it could not be circulated. So one, what you will do, if it could not be circulated, it would be read out at the meeting, and also a copy of it will be filed with the ROC if it could not be circulated. Are you understanding that over here? Okay. And now, retiring auditor, he is being removed. So he might be anguished, no? He might be very upset or angry with the company or so. And what he is written in the representation letter, in the farewell letter, okay, today I am going to bring the true picture of the company in front of your eyes. All the directors of the company have taken away 10 crore rupees from the company. This company is having no future. This company will go into liquidation in the next 1 year. We urge to all the shareholders to sell their shares of this particular company. Right? We urge, and then they say the internal controls in the company are pathetic. Right? It says the assets of the company, inventory of the company, there is no actual inventory with the company. Because he is angry, no. In anger, they say anything. So this retiring auditor, if I write in the representation that I am being removed as the auditor, but I am willing to continue as an auditor if the shareholders reappoint me, right? I will continue to be independent as an auditor if reappointed by the shareholders. You write this is sensible. No problem in, there's no problem in sending this representation to all the members. You're saying, I'm willing to continue, I will continue to be independent as an auditor. You make this representation and you report it, tell them company to give it to the members. That is fair enough. But here, what you are doing now, here you're using the right to make representation. You are using the right to make representation which is given to the retiring auditor, but here you are abusing the right to make the representation. What you are doing? Now you are misusing the right. Why? To secure needless publicity. They will never find an auditor like us. They will regret their entire life regarding why they removed us as the auditor. And writing all this in representation and telling company, you send it to all the members. Right, to secure needless publicity or for defamatory purposes. Now what the company will do? And he has told, okay, send it to all the members, retiring auditor. Now company says, now this fellow has written all crap over here. Now how to send this to all the members of the company? So now the company will make an application to the tribunal. Okay, tribunal, you only see what he is writing and what he is telling to circulate to all the members. So company, if it thinks that the retiring auditor is abusing the right to make representation to secure needless publicity, then the company will make an application to the tribunal. And if the tribunal is satisfied, yeah, this fellow he is very angry, that is why he is saying all these wrong things about the company, then the tribunal will order the company that don't circulate this representation letter, and also no need to read it out at the meeting. Right? Then no need to circulate the representation, and also no need to read it out at the meeting. Are you understanding that? If the retiring auditor abuses the right, are you understanding? Right? So if retiring auditor abuses the right to make the representation, then the company needs to make an application to the tribunal. And then if the tribunal is satisfied, they may tell the company not to circulate, not to read out the representation. This is if they abuse the right. And then at the general meeting, what will happen at the AGM? A special resolution would be passed in the AGM to appoint somebody else, or expressly providing that the retiring auditor shall not be reappointed. And if the retiring auditor has made a representation, should that be mentioned in the notice of the AGM also? Yes, even in the notice of the AGM, you need to mention the fact that a representation has been made by the retiring auditor. You know, when you send the notice for the AGM, in the notice of the AGM, if retiring auditor has made a representation, will you mention about it in the notice of the AGM? Yes, it will also be mentioned in the notice of the AGM. Are you understanding that? Right? So removal of the auditor. Now see, when he is removed before the expiry of his term, what are the two requirements over there? Prior approval of the central government. So your central government needs to intervene. And then the special resolution in the general meeting. Are you understanding? For right now, within next 1 hour, you want to remove the auditor of the company. It says no. First, you are removing, what is so much of a problem that you want to remove the auditor right away? It says first get approval of CG. Then pass the special resolution in the general meeting, and only then you can remove the auditor. Are you understanding? But if he is being removed at the expiry of his term, but before completion of his tenure, then no CG approval is required. Then special notice, representation, and the special notice. Then the right to make the representation, and then the SR in the AGM. Is prior approval of CG required over here? No, here there is no CG intervention. Where does tribunal intervene? When does tribunal intervene? If he abuses the right for defamatory purposes and to secure needless publicity, only then the tribunal intervenes. And when do you need to give the copy of the representation to the ROC? If you don't circulate it to the members. If you don't circulate it to the members. Are you understanding that? Right. So that is to removal of the auditors over there. Right. So removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term and at the expiry of his term, but before completion of his tenure. Are you understanding this one, everyone? Okay. Right now, third one, auditor of the company resigning. And auditor, what he thought, no, I don't want to continue as an auditor of this company. So if you don't want to continue as an auditor of the company, you resign. And say, today I resigned. Today, when any fine morning you get up and you say, Arey, who will go for this audit every day? Headache. You resign. You say, no, I'm not coming for the audit. I resign. Any day, na. You don't look at the astrological charts and everything regarding what is an auspicious time to resign. You just make up your mind and you decide to resign. Right. So now, once the auditor of the company resigns, within 30 days from the date of the resignation, if the auditor of the company resigns within 30 days from the date of the resignation, the auditor has to file form ADT3 with the company and the ROC. Company and also the registrar of the companies. And if you have resigned from the audit of a government company, then you need to file the form ADT3 with the company, with the ROC, and also with the C and AG. right? Then if I have done the audit of if I have resigned as an auditor of any company, OGC, other than government company, then I need to file the form ADT3 with the company and the ROC. If I have resigned as an auditor of the government company, then I need to file the form ADT3 with the company, the ROC, and also with the C and AG. Do you understand this? If I have resigned as an auditor of a other than government company, then I need to file form ADT3 within 30 days from the date of the resignation with the company and with the ROC. And in case of government company, I need to file the form ADT3 with the company, the ROC, and in addition to that also with the C and AG. Are you able to follow till here, everyone? Okay, right. So what was ADT1? ADT1, who had to file? Company had to file it with the ROC within 15 days of the correct of the appointment of the auditor. Is it right? Right. Then ADT2, company had to file with the central government for the prior approval of the removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term. Has to be filed with the CG within 30 days of the board resolution. Is it right? Array? Within 30 days of the board resolution, you make an application to CG, then you get approval of CG. After approval of CG, within 60 days, you pass the special resolution. But application to CG has to be made, right, within the 30 days of the passing of the board resolution. So ADT1 is regarding the appointment of the auditor. ADT2 is regarding the removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term. Is it right? Before the expiry of his term. Are you understanding that? Right. Then you have the ADT3, which who needs to file? Auditor needs to file it with the company and the ROC. And in case of a government company, additionally with the C and AG within 30 days of the date of the resignation, within 30 days from the date of the resignation, right? So this is in case where there is the resignation of the auditor. Are you understanding this? ADT3, right? ADT3, who needs to file? Auditor. With whom? The company and the ROC. And in case of a government company, also with the C and AG. And later on, we'll be studying one more form, ADT4, which the auditor needs to file with the central government. Yes, what is the time limit? What is the time limit? Yes, what is the time limit for that? Within 15 days. When you receive a reply or you don't receive the reply, right? We'll come to that. Reply for what? It says when there is a fraud, right? So duty to report the fraud to CG. And duty to report the fraud to the central government. So auditor of the company, if you come to know about a fraud, then that fraud you need to report it to the central government. Okay, I am doing the audit of Growth Limited and I come to know that in Growth Limited there is a fraud which has happened. So it says it's the duty of the auditor to report the fraud to the central government. In which form? In form ADT4. In form ADT4. Are you understanding that? So first two forms are to be filed by the company. Next two forms are to be filed by the auditor. Are you able to follow this, everyone? Have you copied this down? Right? Copy down. Copy down, everyone. Within 15 days with reply or without reply? Audit committee or the board of directors. First, if I come to know that there is a fraud in Growth Limited, I will inform to the Audit Committee Board of Directors, then I will wait for their reply or observation, and if they reply or they don't reply. So I'm yet to come to 143.12. So once I come there, you will understand this better. Right, so this is 143.12. And a duty to report the fraud to the CG. This is 140 subsection 3. Right, the resignation of the company auditor, right, then removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term, and then you have section 139, which is regarding the appointment of the company auditor. Why you speak so much in the class? Are you paid for it? I am paid for it. Not to speak. Unless and until there is value for your words, keep quiet. कुछ value नहीं है. There is no value right now. Only speak where there is value. You will say, ma'am, then to half of the noise pollution in the world will reduce if you speak only with purpose. My God, do you do rehearsal every day for the sound, or like it comes spontaneously? Ayyo. I pity you actually, that you have to make such sounds for your survival. Chalo, chalo, written. Written क्या? Written, everyone? Write nicely, quickly. See how your friend is writing. I thought you will write 4 pages today, but how many you have written? 15. 18 pages. Wow. $18. Audit committee or the board of director. And I am yet to teach you 143.12. Just because I wanted to complete the chart, I have given it over there. But as such, I need to, not expected for you to understand it as such. ठीक है ना? All good? Okay. Today. What is today? Today can be any date. Sometime I say 20th August, sometime I tell you today is 25th April. Now I am telling you today is 1st of November. You have no option but to believe me. Okay, so now today morning auditor woke up and he says, no, I don't want to continue with this audit. 1st November 2026, auditor of the company resigned. He resigned. On 15th of December 2026, he filed the ADT 3 with the company and the ROC. Say it's a other than government company. Okay, say the remuneration of the auditor was 35,000. What was the remuneration of the auditor? Kitna tha? 35,000. Audit fee remuneration, you understand? Very good. Audit remuneration, 35,000. When did he resign? 1st November. When did he file ADT 3? 15th December with the company and the ROC. Now, Read the provisions over here and tell me how much is the penalty which the auditor needs to pay. Wait, read. In case of failure, the auditor shall be liable to penalty of 50,000 or the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less. So, kitna? 50,000 or 35,000. So, in my example, 35,000, and in case of continuing failure with further penalty of 500 rupees for each day after the first, during which such failure continues, subject to a maximum of 2 lakh rupees. When did he file? 15th December. That means how many days default? Yes, 14 days. 15th day to he filed, no? 1st November to 30th November. Within 30 days from the date of the resignation, 1st November to 30th November. Within 30 days he should have filed. But when did this fellow file? 15th of December. That means there has been 14 days default or delay, whatever you call it. There has been 14 days delay, right? How much does it say? 500 rupees for each day of delay, right? So 14 into 500, that is 7,000, and 30 for 50,000 or the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less. So 35,000 plus the 7,000, so 42,000. And do you understand that? And what does it say? Subject to a maximum of rupees 2 lakh. Right? This continuing failure, say he files it after 500 days. You know, or he files it after 1,000 days. So you will keep on multiplying every day by 500. No, it says subject to a maximum of the 2 lakh rupees. Are you understanding this, everyone? Right. So what is the penalty if the auditor does not file the form ADT 3? Right, what is the penalty for the auditor if he does not file the form ADT 3? Right, 50,000 or the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less. And what does it say? 500 rupees for per day of continuing default, subject to a maximum of 2 lakh rupees. Right, 500 rupees per day, further penalty, subject to a maximum of the 2 lakh rupees. Are you understanding this, everyone? So penalty of 50,000 or the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less, and further penalty 500 rupees per day, but further penalty maximum 2 lakh. Further penalty maximum, earlier it was 5 lakh, now it is 2 lakh. No, excluding. Further penalty subject to a maximum of 2 lakh. So further penalty ke liye, the limit is 2 lakh. One, that penalty to you have to pay 50,000 or the remuneration, whichever is less, and then 500 rupees per day of continuing default. Is it clear to all of you? Resignation of the company auditor. Are you understanding this, everyone? The resignation of the company auditor. And then coming to the last one over there. Which is the last one over there? Removal of the auditor by the tribunal or the central government. Right? So now who is coming into the picture over here? The tribunal or the central government. When can the tribunal or the CG come into the picture? It says the tribunal either suo moto. What is suo moto? Suo moto on its own. The tribunal either on its own, suo moto, or based on an application received from the central government or any person concerned. The tribunal, yes, this is a trending one, right? Lot of questions on this one are coming in the exam, right? So you can mark it as trending. What do you mean by trending? Recently coming a lot in the exams, right? So on YouTube or such, you have some reels, and Instagram, some reels which are trending, right? So this particular question over here is trending, right? Resignation of the company auditor is ATF. Oh, I didn't tell you. What does ATF stand for? One aviation turbine fuel. Nahin. General knowledge is very dangerous sometimes. GST. Nahi re. Wait. Trending, what is recently coming a lot in the exam. And ATF, all-time favorite of ICAI, near and dear to ICAI. So obviously what is near and dear to ICAI has to be near and dear to us also. So you know, I can tell you something. In the class now, we use lots and lots of these marking. Like one marking I told you is the trending. Another marking is the ATF. Right, you know, then there are some questions which are there in the revision test paper. You understand? They are there in the RTP, but they are not yet shifted to the suggested. That means they have not yet been asked in the exam. So this ATF is what? All-time favorite. Yes, all-time favorite. And then there are these questions which are there in the RTP, but which have not yet been asked in the exam. That means the bullet has been loaded in the gun, but it is yet to be shooted. You understand? So those we call it as the WLQ. That is the waiting list question. Right. Then some question which you find it as important, right? You mark it as the 5-star, right? Important question. So you mark it as the 5-star. Then some questions you need to revise it a few number of times before the exam. So you mark it as R raised to 10 or R raised to 50. What is R raised to 10? Read, revise. 10 times before the exam, read, revise. 50 times before the exam. Right? Then you have some SIQ. That is the super important question. So I am telling you, array, listen to me. I am telling you. My objective is to tell you that each and every question is important, but different way. Like, you know, small children, how they feed them food. See, sparrow is coming. See, crow is coming. Pigeon is coming. Peacock is coming. And then one, and then 2 chapatis eaten. You know, 2 rotis or whatever food eaten. Stomach full. Similarly, why you are studying this question? This is ATF. Why you are studying this one? This is R raised to 10. Why you are studying this? This is waiting list question. Why studying this one? Because it is trending. So name, let it be whatever. Okay. So, but basically, है ना, whenever you have to start studying any chapter, any question, thought comes. What is the weightage? Does it come? Does it come? Then students have an analysis. This question comes in May. It never comes in November. Then they say this one, it comes every alternate attempt, like every one attempt, after every 1 November it comes again. Some analysis, complex analysis they do. Basically, when you see any question and the thought comes to your mind, what thought comes to your mind? Weightage. Is it important? Should I study? Should I leave it an option? Should I cut it? You know, something like that. So you have to remember that you have to study only 2 types of questions. Only 2. Anybody gives you a third variety, throw it out. Only 2 varieties of question. One which is already asked and one which is yet to be asked. Finish. House full. There, if anybody tells you to read a third question, tell Aarti ma'am has said no. 2 ही प्रकार के question करना है. Only 2 types. You see a question, you say, already asked, very important, can come again. You see a question, never asked, can come in my attempt, study. Whether eat like this or like this. You have to eat everything. You understand? Okay. Right. So anyways, now coming to the removal of the auditor by the tribunal or the CG. So it says the tribunal either suo motu on its own or based on an application received from central government or any person concerned and the tribunal is satisfied. And the tribunal is satisfied. What is the tribunal satisfied? That the auditor of the company, that the tribunal either on its own or based on an application received from central government or any person concerned. What happens? The tribunal is satisfied. What is it satisfied? That the auditor of the company has acted in a fraudulent manner. Fraud. Auditor is a fraud. Company fraud, forget. They say this auditor is a fraud. That the auditor of the company has acted in a fraudulent manner or has abated, assisted, helped. You do fraud, I am there behind you. Nothing, I will not take it out in my verification. You do fraud. Abated or colluded. What is colluded? Participated. Do fraud, 50-50. Colluded. And the auditor of the company acted in a fraudulent manner or abated or colluded in any fraud in relation to the company or its directors or officers, then the tribunal may by order. What order the tribunal may pass? To tell the company to change its auditors. Yes, once again, please listen to me. The tribunal either suo motu or based on an application received from central government or any person concerned. The tribunal is satisfied. What is it satisfied? That auditor of the company acted in a fraudulent manner or he has abated, assisted, colluded, participated in any fraud by or in relation to the company or its directors or officers. The tribunal may by order direct the company to change its auditors. How it can? Tribunal either suo motu or based on an application received from CG or any person concerned. Now what does it say? So is it possible that the application could be received from CG? Is it possible that the application could be received by CG? Yes, it could be suo motu, it could be any person concerned or it could be the CG. If the application is received from CG and the tribunal is satisfied that the auditor is acted in a fraudulent manner, then the order has to be passed by the tribunal within 15 days. And the another auditor, the new auditor will now be appointed by the central government. Why will be appointed by central government? Because application was received from central government. So if application is received from CG and the tribunal is satisfied, then the order has to be passed by the tribunal within 15 days and the another auditor will now be appointed by the central government. Then such an auditor, such a hopeless auditor, fraudulent auditor, acted in a fraudulent manner, abated or colluded in any fraud. Right? So such an auditor against whom the final audit order, such an auditor against whom the final order has been passed by the such an auditor against whom the final order has been passed by the tribunal cannot be appointed as an auditor of any company for a period of 5 years, and he shall also be liable under section 447 of Companies Act 2013. Right? So such an auditor against whom the final order has been passed by the tribunal, no company audit for a period of 5 years, and shall be liable under section 447. What is 447 of company law? Punishment for fraud. What is section 447 of the company law? Section 447, it is the punishment for fraud. What is the punishment for fraud? Whether the director or whether the auditor, whosoever has done a fraud, what is the amount of fine? If the auditor of the company has done a fraud, or if a director of the company has done a fraud, what is the amount of fine? 20 lakh, 30 lakh, 40 lakh, 1 crore, 2 crore, 10 lakh? It says at least equal to the amount of fraud, which may extend to 3 times the amount involved in the fraud. So like in case of Satyam Computer Services Limited, there was a fraud of 7,000 crore. So it says fine of not less than 7,000 crore, which may extend up to 21,000 crore. Otherwise, if the fine is 10 lakh, it's a good deal. Do a fraud of 7,000 crore and pay a fine of 10 lakh. You understand that? No. So that is why it says no, 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 no. Right? At least equal to the amount of the fraud, which may extend up to 3 times the amount involved in the fraud. And then what is the imprisonment? Not less than 6 months, which may extend up to 10 years. Right? And if the fraud involved is in public interest, then the minimum period of imprisonment is 3 years. Right? Then the minimum period of imprisonment is the 3 years. Are you understanding that? Right? So anyways, this is not in our syllabus, but I'm just telling you section 447, which is regarding the punishment for the fraud, at least equal to the amount of the fraud, which may extend to 3 times the amount involved in the fraud, and imprisonment which shall not be less than 6 months, which may extend up to 10 years. And when the fraud is in public interest, then the minimum period of imprisonment would be 3 years. Okay, right. And now, yes, what does it say? One particular partner of the firm has done a fraud. Right, so one particular partner, right? So ABC and company is an audit firm. Right, and one partner of the firm has done the fraud, and now the firm needs to pay a fine of 10 crore. Who has to pay the fine of 10 crore? ABC and company, CA firm, has done a fraud. For auditors have acted in a fraudulent manner. So now who needs to pay the fine? The CA firm, right? So now who in the CA firm has to pay the fine? It will be the liability of all the partners, right? So you cannot say that no, A has done the fraud, so A will be liable. No, the entire firm, jointly and severally, they will be jointly and severally liable. So for fine, they will be jointly and severally liable. But for imprisonment, for criminal liability, only the concerned partner will be liable, right? So fine, it's the firm's liability to pay the fine. But criminal liability, imprisonment, it says only for criminal liability, only the concerned partner will be liable. Are you able to follow this, everyone? Right? For criminal liability, what does it say? For criminal liability, only the concerned partners will be liable. The concerned partners will be liable. Criminal, one you have civil liability and one you have is the criminal liability. What is a civil liability? Fine. And what is a criminal liability? Fine with imprisonment. Right? Fine with the imprisonment. So you have civil liability and you have the criminal liability. Are you understanding that? Okay. Yes. What are the 4 points I discussed with you over here? One, if tribunal either suo motu or based on an application received from CG or any person concerned, the tribunal is satisfied that the auditor of the company has acted in a fraudulent manner or abated or colluded in any fraud by or in relation to the company or its directors or officers, the tribunal may by order direct the company to change its auditors. Point number 1. Point number 2, if the application is received from CG and the tribunal is satisfied, the order has to be passed within 15 days and the another auditor will be appointed by the central government. Then what does it say? Such an auditor against whom the final order has been passed by the tribunal cannot do the audit of any company for a period of 5 years and shall be liable under section 447, and the liability shall be of the firm and every partner of the firm, but for criminal liability only the concerned partners will be liable. What is the point number 3? Such an auditor against whom the final order has been passed by the tribunal cannot be appointed as an auditor of any company for a period of 5 years. Does anybody have any observation or correlation over here? Cooling period का क्या है? Does such an auditor against whom the final order has been passed by the tribunal cannot do the audit of any company for a period of 5 years and shall be liable under section 447. I am asking you, from whatever we have studied today, do you have any correlation or any observation? Huh. What correlation you should have over here? Fraud. This is also fraud only, no? Yes, 141(3)(h. कौन है ये? A person convicted by a court for an offense involving fraud and a period of 10 years has not elapsed. Right? Here under 140 subsection 5, what does it say? Final order has been passed by the tribunal. So here it was the court, here it is the NCLT, the National Company Law Tribunal. So if the order has been passed by the tribunal, then what does it say? No company audit for a period of, right? No company audit for a period of 5 years, right? So if order has been passed by the court, then no company audit for 10 years. And if order has been passed by the tribunal, then no company audit for the 5 years. If order has been passed by the court, then 10 years. And if order has been passed by the tribunal, then no company audit for a period of the 5 years. Are you understanding that? Are you able to correlate these two? Right? Are you able to correlate these two over there? Right. So that is regarding the removal of the company auditor. Right? That's regarding the removal of the company auditor. What does it say? First one, removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term. How do you remove an auditor? One, board resolution. Then within 30 days of the board resolution, the application is to be made to the CG within 30 days of the resolution being passed by the board. Right? Then the CG will give their prior approval. Then the company shall hold the general meeting within the 60 days of the receipt of the approval of the CG for passing the special resolution. And what does it say? A reasonable opportunity of being heard is to be given to the auditor being removed. Right? So what is the important requirement? Okay, right now, in next 1 hour, I want to remove the auditor. Is it possible? No. What does it say? Board resolution, application to CG, approval of CG, then special resolution and reasonable opportunity of being heard. So what are the two important ingredients? Special resolution. No, board resolution, that more of a formality, like a procedural requirement. But as such, what is the requirement? Special resolution, and that too after obtaining the previous approval of the central government. So prior approval of CG and the special resolution in the general meeting. Only then you can remove the auditor before the expiry of the term, right? Then what about the resignation of the auditor? Within 30 days from the date of resignation, the company needs to file the form, the auditor needs to file the form ADT 3 with the company and the ROC. And in case of a government company, also with the C&AG, the auditor has to indicate the reasons why he is resigning as the auditor. And what is the penalty? 50,000 or the remuneration of the auditor, whichever is less. And in case of continuing default, with further penalty of the 500 for each day after the first day during which such failure continues, subject to a maximum of 2 lakh rupees. Okay. Then appointment of auditor other than retiring auditor. Do you know this one? At the expiry of his term, but before completion of his tenure. How does it start? A special notice is to be sent. Then the copy of the special notice is to be sent to the retiring auditor. He can make a representation in writing and request the company to circulate it to the members. Company must circulate unless it is received too late. In the notice of the resolution also you will mention that the representation has been made by the retiring auditor. Then what does it say? If the representation could not be circulated because it was received too late or any default of the company, in that case it would be read out at the meeting, and this is without prejudice to the right to be heard orally at the meeting. And if the copy of representation is not circulated, then it has to be filed with the registrar. And what if the retiring auditor is abusing the right? And the right is being abused by the auditor, the company can make an application to the tribunal, right? The company can make an application to the tribunal, and then the tribunal may pass an order that it may not be sent and it may not be read out at the meeting. And it need not be sent and need not be read out at the meeting. And then you have the removal of auditor by the tribunal or the CG. What does it say? The tribunal either suo moto or based on an application made by CG or any person concerned, it is satisfied. What is the tribunal satisfied? That the auditor of the company has acted in a fraudulent manner or has abated or colluded in any fraud by or in relation to the company or its directors or officers. It may by order direct the company to change its auditors. If the application is made by CG, then order has to be passed within 15 days and the another auditor will be appointed by the CG. Such an auditor against whom the final order has been passed cannot be appointed as an auditor of any company for a period of 5 years and shall be liable under section 447, and the liability will be of the firm, and for criminal liability only the concerned partners will be liable. Are you able to follow this, everyone? Okay, right. So here we have the form ADT1, right? ADT1 is regarding what? Notice to the registrar by the company for the appointment of the auditor. Are you seeing it on the right hand side over there? Notice to the registrar by the company for the appointment of the auditor, right? So the corporate identity number, the global location number, name of the company, registered office, email address, whether the company is falling under any of class of company as per 139(2). What is this? 3A, kya hai? Arey, 139(2) we discussed now. Ringa ringa roses, pocket full of poses, no? Rotation. Ringa ringa. Okay, right. So whether the company is following under any of the class of company as per section 139(2), yes, yes or no. The nature of the appointment. Areva, do you think you know this? First auditor appointed by BOD or members of CNAG. Then appointment, reappointment in AGM. Auditor appointed in case of the casual vacancy. Auditor appointed in case of non-reappointment or removal of the present auditor. Auditor appointed by the tribunal or the others. Right, so appointment, right? Then whether joint auditors have been appointed, then the number of auditors appointed, category of the auditor, is it an individual or is it a firm? Then the PAN of the auditor, name of the audit firm, membership number, firm registration number, address of the auditor, city, state, country, period of accounts for which they are appointed, number of financial years, right? Then whether the appointment of the auditor, read it, G, sorry, H point, read it. Whether the appointment of the auditor is within the limit of the 20 companies as specified under 141(3)(g). Do you know 141(3)(g)? What is it? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. G? Full-time employment elsewhere or already holding the audits of more than the 20 companies. Then specify the tenure of the previous appointment of the auditor. Right, having a break of 5 years or more. So person appointed as auditor, financial year start date and the end date, right? So this is regarding then whether auditor is appointed at the AGM, what is the date of appointment, whether it is due to casual vacancy, person who vacated the office, casual vacancy, reasons of the casual vacancy, right? And then the declaration to be given. So this is the ADT 1, which has to be filed by the company with the ROC within 15 days of the appointment of the auditor. Right. Then ADT 2, company has to file with the central government for the removal of the auditor before the expiry of the term. Are you seeing application for removal of auditor from their office before the expiry of his term? So again, the identity number, name of the company, details of the application clearly indicating the grounds for seeking the removal of the auditor, whether accounts have been qualified. Now what is qualified? We'll see that. You know, when there is any, the accounts of the company are not true and fair. Generally, when an auditor does an audit, what he should be saying that the accounts give a true and fair view. But when they don't give a true and fair view, we say that they are qualified. Right? There is a qualification in the audit report. Right? You create an exception in the audit report. So whether the accounts have been qualified, details of opportunity given to the auditor concerned for being heard. Any proceedings are pending between the company and the officers. Then date of appointment, then the special resolution of the relevant firm, category of the auditor, membership number, special notice has been received. All audit fee has been paid to the concerned auditors, right? A number of financial years for which the audit is pending, right? So again, that is the removal of the auditor before the expiry of his term. Then ADT 3. Notice of the resignation by the auditor. What does it say? Again, the name of the company, registered address, his office, then the category of auditor, income tax PAN, name of the auditor, membership number or the firm registration number, then the address of the auditor, city, state, pin code, date of appointment, date of resignation. Then reasons for resignation and any other facts relevant to the resignation, and then they give the declaration. So this form is to be filed by the auditor. And then you have the ADT 4, which is regarding the reporting of the fraud to the central government, right? So reporting under 143.12 on any suspected offense involving fraud being committed, right? So again, date at the AGM, the address, full details, right? And the particulars of the officers or employees who are suspected to be involved in the commission of the offense, right? Then basis on which fraud is suspected, period for which the suspected fraud has occurred, right? Date of sending the report, date of reply, whether auditor is satisfied with the reply, and all the other details, right? So that is ADT 4, which is regarding the duty to report the fraud to the CG. Okay, right. So we saw who can be appointed as an auditor, who cannot be appointed as an auditor, how to appoint the auditor, how to remove the auditor. But now if you appoint an auditor of the company, obviously you will have to pay him the remuneration. The audit fees will have to be paid to the auditor, right? The auditor's remuneration. Right. Now, who will fix the remuneration of the auditor, right? Who will fix the remuneration of the auditor? Now, generally the power to appoint the auditor, I'm not talking about special cases like first auditor, casual vacancy. I'm talking in the routine course. Who has the power to appoint the auditor of the company? The members, the shareholders in the general meeting. So who can decide the remuneration of the auditor of the company? It says the company in the general meeting. Company in general meeting, that means the members, or in the manner determined therein, right? Or in the manner determined therein, right? Section 142, which is regarding the auditor's remuneration. So either shareholders, you decide what should be the remuneration which should be paid to the auditor, or you decide who will decide, or in the manner determined therein. So you decide it is okay if they decide the remuneration of the auditor. So who decides the remuneration of the auditor? Either the company in general meeting, or they can decide who will decide, or in the manner determined therein. However, wherever the first auditor, so now coming to the exception, wherever the first auditor is appointed by the board, then his remuneration could also be fixed by the board, right? So if appointed by board, then the remuneration of the first auditor could also be fixed by the board. Otherwise, generally, what is the thumb rule? Company in general meeting, or in the manner determined therein. And first auditor, if appointed by the board, then remuneration could be fixed by the board. If appointed by the board, then the remuneration could be fixed by the board. Are you understanding that? Okay. Now, what does it say? In case of a government company, let me see what you've understood. In case of a government company, who appoints the auditor? Subsequent auditor? C and AG within 180 days from the commencement of the financial year. In case of other than government company, who appoints the subsequent auditor? The members. In case of other than government company, who appoints the subsequent auditor? Right, the company in the subsequent auditor. Why you are mentioning first auditor? Subsequent auditor, other than government company, who appoints? The members of the company, they appoint the subsequent auditor. My question to you is, okay, who decides the remuneration of the auditor in case of the government company? Who would decide the remuneration of the auditor in case of the auditor of the government company? Other than government company? Members. Government company? Have I discussed it anywhere over here? What did I say? Remuneration of the auditor of the company. Have they distinguished OGC, GC? Have they distinguished other than, because everywhere first auditor, casual vacancy they wrote, na, other than government company, government company. Is it written? No, simply what does it say? In case of a company shall be fixed in the, general meeting or in the manner determined therein, and the board will fix the remuneration of the first auditor appointed by it. Are you understanding that? Right, so government company, who appoints the auditor? Government company who appoints the auditor. Listen to me carefully. The C and AG. Who appoints the auditor, subsequent auditor in case of government company, C and AG. Who decides the remuneration of the auditor of the government company? The company in the general meeting or in the manner determined therein. Are you understanding that? Yes, so in case of the other than government company and the government company, subsequent auditor, subsequent auditor is appointed by the members, and here it is appointed by the C and AG. But remuneration, auditor's remuneration is fixed by members or in the manner determined therein, and here also members or the manner determined therein. Are you understanding that? So though the auditor is appointed by the CNAG in case of the government company, the remuneration of the auditor in case of a government company is decided by the members in the general meeting or in the manner determined therein. Are you understanding that? Okay. So now when you are appointed as an auditor of a company, right? So say you are CA Sparkle and you have been appointed to do the audit of the Growth Limited. Okay, and now CA Sparkle has their office in Mumbai, and say this Growth Limited is in Delhi. Okay, and now CA Sparkle or Sparkle and Company, that CA firm, say there are these 40 people who are there in your engagement team. An example, 7, 8 chartered accountants, 15, 17 articles and qualified and partners and all of them. Say example, there are 40 members in your engagement team. Now this is outstation audit because CA firm is based in Mumbai. Client is there in Delhi. Are you understanding that? Or client might be having offices also at various locations. Now this auditor will have to travel. And all these 40 members of the engagement team, right? They will all have to travel from Mumbai to Delhi, right? So there are air ticket cost or there are train ticket cost, right? That cost will be there. Then after that, they will stay in the hotel over there. The accommodation will be provided, right? Then food. Food will have to be taken care of. Say you stay over there for 20 days, right? So your food has to be taken care of. Then now, there you are staying in a hotel. From that hotel, every day you need to go to the client place, right? So even your local conveyance, even the local conveyance is required to be taken care of, right? So what are all these that I'm talking about is the OPE. What is OPE? The out-of-pocket expenses, right? The out-of pocket expenses, right? These are also to be reimbursed by the client, right? Reimbursement of expenses, right? Reimbursement of the expenses, right? So all these facilities which are provided to the auditor. What does it say? All these facilities which are provided to the auditor, the remuneration shall, in addition to the fee payable to an auditor, include the expenses, if any, incurred by the auditor in connection with the audit of the company, and any facility extended to him, but does not include any remuneration paid to him for any other service rendered to him at the request of the company. So company requested me that you also do our tax audit. Is that included in the auditor remuneration? No. That we will charge extra. Say for start audit we are charging 50 lakh, tax audit we will charge 10 lakh. So that will be extra. But in that 50 lakh, will I also add the other facilities which are extended? Like I told you, the traveling, the accommodation, the conveyance and all of that. Yes, that will be included. And what does it say? It is here clarified that. Therefore, it has been clarified that remuneration to the auditor will also include any facility provided to him. You know, once upon a time when it was only 100 marks of theory paper, when it was only 100 marks of the theory paper, life was much more simple. You understand? Because if they ask you the whole damn thing over there, right? For 3 to 4 marks or something which you need to write. Out of 6, you remember 3 points, 4 points, but you make some story over there. But no, so even, you know, to some extent, macro level of study would work in that case. But now, because of the onset of the MCQs and the correct and correct in the paper, we have to go for the meticulous study. We have to go for the micro reading. Like if you look at this May 23 question paper over here, and if you look into the question number D over there, 1D over there, as per section 142, what we studied right now, of the Companies Act 2013, the remuneration to the auditor shall also include any facility provided to him. You understand? No. Right now, you are correct. Why? Because you've just seen it over there and you've come. But you don't know that any one particular sentence in the book, one particular word in the book, or I'll show you later on when we come to another standard on auditing or so. You know, there are 2 points. So you remember, na, A point ye hai, B point ye hai. And this is what you remember. Now, in the MCQ, they ask, if between these 2 points, is there an and or is there an or? Now, what happens now? You are very clear regarding your concepts. You had no confusion in your life. If only red color t-shirt is kept in front of me, I know I want to buy red color t-shirt. No confusion at all. But red color, yellow color, green color, blue color. Now confusion starts. Okay, yellow is also good. Okay, green is also good. So you always knew that there was an and. But after you saw or, then you got tempted. Okay, I think there might be or also over there. Like, you know, in CA final, there is one particular topic over there wherein it says the report on corporate governance. Corporate governance, the company being run by the management in the best interest of the stakeholders. This report is required to be signed by. Abhi, general knowledge mein you know who? The CEO and the... If I say CEO, which is the next fellow which comes to your mind? CFO of the company. So now look at the 4 options over here. The chief executive officer and the chief executive officer and the chief financial officer, then the chief executive officer or the chief financial officer, then you have the chief executive officer or the compliance officer. Now you say, this uncle though I never met. I don't know who is this uncle over here. Right, and then it says chief executive officer and the compliance officer. Now, what your general knowledge says? ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. Compliance officer वगैरह, nothing like that. It has to be CEO, CFO. So you say cut. Then you say, if I only tell CEO to sign, CFO will feel bad. How to tell anyone to sign? Both. And the CEO and CFO. And you keep on patting your back. Nobody like you, I'm telling you. You go in the entire universe, not another you anywhere. Such talented, bags of talent filled within. And then you say, alright, 25 out of 30 MCQ, remaining part of the paper 15, 40 out of 100. Anyways, don't want much from audit. I'll compensate for it in advance accounts and other subjects. And you say, it doesn't work that way. What you trust, it might turn the other way around. So anyways, see, practically you should target for a 70 to 80 in audit. Worst come, you at least reach to 55 to 60. You understand? No, that should be your standard. I'm not talking about a 90 in audit, but 60 to 70 is like a good range, for getting audit. Now, students, how they fail, no? I'll tell you the correct answer for this one. But students, how they fail, no? They get 38. And just for 2 marks. Or they get 197 out of 400. You understand? For one group. I'm talking about one subject 4 group. Or they get 397 out of 800. The disaster of the CA course is that for that 3 marks, 8 subjects you have to deal with them again. If you fail, no, you should fail by getting 7 marks. Or 13 out of 100, 7 out of 100. At least you have failed nicely. Well, if you fail, also fail properly. Anyways, I'm not promoting you to fail. But this is like an honorable failure. You deserve to fail. Means no need for you to tell anybody what I see AI. When you get 38, you can say what I see AI. You can think of what do you say, rechecking of your paper and everything, just for 3 marks and just for 3 marks, then that failure is the real torture of ICAI. When you get 7 out of 100, just keep your mouth tightly shut. Don't give any explanation. Just look down and study, because you have failed very nicely. You understand? But boss, when you get a 38, 59, 58 and a 38, and when you have to study the subjects again, the torture and the strength which you need to incorporate, or you need to build from within. Because this 59, 58, it came. Whether it will come again, that attempt, whatever good things happened, happened. You got it. And you got one more mark, exemption. And you would have got the 60. But exemption bhi nahi. And see, if you get 7 in a subject and you have to study it again, it's better. You get a 59 in a subject, and then you have to study it again. Now that becomes a real, you just, because of the few little bit here and there, you had to study it again. Right, so anyways, this, and CA intermediate, you say, ma'am, day 1. So what if it is day 1? Doesn't feel like day 1. Okay, CA intermediate. Listen to me, no. CA intermediate is generally the opening batsman in your life. CA intermediate is the opening batsman in your life, where 90% of the intelligent students, or even the rankers at in the 10th or 12th, or 99.93% students, or whichever category it be, in CA intermediate, many of you, for the first time in your life, you experience failure. You've never seen the face of failure before that, because you never failed in 6th standard, right? Had you failed in 6th standard, your parents would not have told you to join for CA course. Nobody would have told you. So 6, 7, maybe you got 40 marks only, 45 marks only. But whichever way, you passed. You understand, no? So 10th, 12th, foundation, everything cleared. Now coming into CA course, and you start feeling the heat of the course also. So anyways, what is the correct answer over here? It is not A. The correct answer over here is the C. The Chief Executive Officer or the Compliance Officer of the listed entity. I am telling you, logic is dangerous. I applied logic, na? Ke CEO, Compliance Officer kaun hota hai? Out. I said, why only one of the two? It has to be both of them. I applied logic. Logic is dangerous. What you have to apply is, you've got to apply your knowledge over here. Right? What you need to apply over here is your knowledge. Are you getting that? And see, again they make a new question. Now this question was never asked previously. Right, but a new question being asked over there. Right, so if you look at the questions over here, documentation of audit strategy, key audit matter, property, plant, equipment, right, appropriateness, probably this is one question which has been repeated, right, then analytical procedures used in all stages of audit by experienced auditors, then cooperative society, and then automated environment. Right, so if you look into this one correct, incorrect over there, so many different chapters have they asked the question from. Like analytical procedures, cooperative society, audit evidence, company law, yes, then the useful life of the asset, then the audit report, that is the key audit matter. Right, so many different varieties of the question being asked over there. Okay, right, so, right. Yes, so what have we discussed? Section 141, Section 139, Section 140 and Section 142, which is regarding the remuneration of the auditor. Who decides the, yes, and 144. Who decides the remuneration of the auditor? The company in the general meeting or the manner determined therein. Whereas first auditor, where they were appointed by the board, his remuneration is also to be fixed by the board. And who... What does it say? Any facility to be provided to the auditor, even that is included in the audit remuneration. But the other services provided by the auditor, that is not included in the audit remuneration. Is it clear to all of you? Right. So tomorrow we'll do a big one over there, Section 143, which is regarding the rights and duties of the company auditor, which will also complete our discussion for 145, 146. And then you have the 140. 7, which is punishment for the non-compliance, and then 148, which is regarding the cost audit, and then after that we go to CARO. You know CARO? Companies Auditors Report Order, right? You have the Companies Auditors Report Order 2020, right? My suggestion to you would be that whatever we have studied today, go through it. You have the study material, you have prepared your own notes, right? So you go through them till the time the notes are provided to you. So whatever you've studied today, you revise, and whatever we are going to study tomorrow, you read. Whatever we studied today, you revise, and whatever we are going to study tomorrow, that you read and come, right? So see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you.